Hello, welcome to Paul's Take, and this is my take on why I believe the Democrats are trying to scam the election. Don't know why. I don't know why or how they're going to do it, but just I'll tell you why I believe they're going to do it. Because they're insisting upon these mail-in ballots. They want everyone in the nation to mail in their vote, right? So up until now, you would they always had the option to mail it. You could do absentee ballot and mail your vote in if you don't want to go for whatever reason in the world. But anybody can do it. It doesn't have to be mandated. You have the option, right? But if you rather go in person, then you go in person. Okay, that's how we've been doing it. And each state controlled their own election, right? But I guess if you're mailing it in, it's going to be a national thing, right? The U.S. government's going to control the election versus each individual state, which right there seems like it's too powerful for the government, right? We're 50 states. We're 50 different states, United States, right? We should control our own election. Because the thing is, the reason behind it is, if the government, I'm not saying the government is corrupt, but if the government was corrupt, then it would just be like one source of corruption, the government, and they control everything, versus 50 different states of corruptions. I mean, not corruption, different states. And that would be more of like a safeguard against one man controlling the election and controlling the results. Oh, yes, so-and-so won unanimously, 100%, 90%. So you never know if it's true or not. If everybody is sending the result to one location, that one location could basically lie. I'm sure they have a lot of safeguards. I'm not even sure how the scam is going to work, but I think it's a scam because, like I said, you can mail in your vote now. You don't have to go to a poll. So if you feel uncomfortable, you might get the corona or spread the corona, or you're sick or you're scared or you're whatever reason you have, you can vote. Mail in, no problemo. Where's the disconnect? But if you feel like it's more secure to go to your local polling place, then I'm sure there'll be people there willing to work and do it. They can do it safely. All they got to do is hire the people at Walmart. They've been doing it for all this time. Bringing in people, stand in line, you gap everybody 6 feet apart, you have little circles on the ground, you wear your mask, you sanitize the little stations. It can be done. It's not rocket science. It's easy. They do it everywhere now. You know, they're letting kids go back to school. You tell me you can't go anywhere and vote? You don't have to. Like I said, if you don't want to, don't go. Mail it in. But if you feel like it's more secure, that your local polling place will get your stuff, basically have the results there in their own little polling section. That way there's kind of a safeguard because they know what the vote is. So if they ever have to audit, basically, then they can just go back to each one and say, what was your results? You know what I'm saying? Versus going to one place that's got a gazillion billion votes from everybody in the whole United States of America, which would be a lot. Think about just the logistics of it all. Normally you have a bunch of small places, they get their local votes, they tally it up and they send it in, right? And then there's probably electronic. They probably got an electronic version and a paperback backup, just so there's some reference to what your vote is. Make sure that like accounting wise, you have the actual vote. You send in a digital point, but you can verify it with the paper one. Well, if you send it to one sort, if that one sort is corrupt or they figure something out, then who's gonna know what everybody else voted? Also, if they're going to do mail-in, normally it's mail-in, I believe, to your state. Yeah, it's a state. First you mail into your state. The state will tally up the state's total. Then it's sent to the government. But I think what they're trying to do is send everything straight to the government. Like we trust the government, right? For anything. Remember, is your memory so bad you don't remember Obamacare, right? Not the Obamacare itself. But remember how they had their program, their go online and sign up for Obamacare. And it didn't work. It didn't work for forever. Their system didn't work. So we're going to trust one system that could potentially be corrupted. How are you going to verify that it doesn't do a 2-for-1 on a certain person? You know what I'm saying? It's going to be too hard to actually manually count everything because it's really literally millions and millions of votes in one location. So I don't know how they're going to do it. I'm not saying I would know how the corruption is, but the fact of the matter is they shouldn't stop. If I feel comfortable or you feel comfortable going to a booth, then allow it. It's a free country. To mandate something is shady for everybody. It's like they have a plan for that mandated version of it. Because it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that they mandate something that you can do right now. You can go mail in your vote. Go mail it in. You want to get cooties? Mail it in. And if you don't trust it, you want to make sure it gets right into the machine, then go to the place yourself. That's what I think. What do you think? Do you think it's shady that they want to mandate that? Why? What's the logic behind it? We want to make sure everybody is safe and nobody get the coronavirus. We got big hearts. We don't want nobody to get sick. You don't want anybody to get sick with the coronavirus. You can still go to the store, by the way. You can still go to the store, no problem. You can still buy lottery tickets, sure. You can still go to school. Yeah, that's fine. But voting, that's not that important. You gotta eat. You gotta go to school. You gotta buy lottery tickets. But voting, it's stupid. Let people mail it in if they want to. Let people go in. And make sure, and the mailing should go, like I said, to the state. Don't give it to the government. We don't trust the government. When did we ever start trusting the government? Nobody does. Democrats don't. Republicans don't. Nobody does. So you tell me why it should be mandatory. Why all of a sudden it's got to go to the government to one central hub versus locally. They don't trust us locally. They don't trust your fellow neighbors to run a fair election. I also thought if you're going to try to rig the election, right? And you have a bunch of people reporting it. Like if there's normally there's a ton of polling places, right? Each neighborhood has a polling place. So they turn in their results, right? So each little area gets the results and they turn it in. So they probably couldn't control the vote as much as if they were all going to one central location, one giant warehouse filled with everybody's vote in the whole nation, going to one location where they got to figure it out and do the tallies in one house. That's just one source of the result instead of each individual town having their own results. You probably couldn't control it as easy. Maybe that's the ticket, or getting closer to it. Anyhow, that's just a thought. What do you think? I don't know if it would be shady, but I just feel like it is, because why would they mandate it? Why do they have to make it? Why would they have to control all the votes instead of just letting your local neighborhood do their own individual location, get that number, send it in? You know what I'm talking about? There's probably more of a paper trail. That's what it is. There's more of a paper trail locally. There's not going to be a paper trail nationally, as they can fake that. They fake one. All they do is fake one result. Controls the whole country. Whereas individual polling places have a bunch of results. They can't control them little votes because they can go back to them. We're like, well, what'd you get? What'd you get over there? We got 27. What'd you get? 64. They'll always know that. They'll always have, each individual spot will have it. They'll have a paper trail. If it's all going to one sort, all you gotta do is manipulate one sort. All you gotta do, or one result. Okay, so I finished it, but I had another thought real quick. Now, imagine this, right? Going with the shady part. If you have multiple places getting results. Like, you know, in the nation, you'll have, if they were doing it locally, everybody would have their own results. So you can, if you worked at the polling place, you would have an idea. You would have a feel of how your area did, right? And it'd be easy enough to find out how other areas did. So you would have a kind of your fingers on the pulse, get an idea of how the election probably should turn out. And you can basically refer to other people, like, hey, how'd you guys do? You can go back and forth. You can, like, all the people in all the polling places can get to a central location and say, well, here's what we got. So it looks like so-and-so is going to win by a lot. But then if they don't have those central locations, getting a feel for the area where they can actually go to a place and confirm what everybody else was getting, to get an idea of the overall result, does it equal the individual result? You know what I'm saying? Because if you can, like, figure, like, oh my gosh, so-and-so's killing, and then everybody's reporting the same thing, so-and-so's killing, and then all of a sudden, versus, if you send everything to one central location, nobody's going to know if somebody's killing or not. All you know is your individual vote. You have no idea how everybody else is doing, and nobody would know. Nobody would know at all except the people at the main hub. And if they can corrupt that main hub, they can say so-and-so killed, and you would think, wow, I guess I was the only one that voted for so-and-so. I guess they won fair and square. You wouldn't realize that one party could have destroyed the other party, but you would never know because you can't ask everybody. There's no little hubs that have their own information, and they can't verify, like, yeah, so-and-so was killing, but he didn't win. And then be like, that's weird. And then you start asking around. Every hub is saying the same thing. So-and-so was killing. Huh. That's weird because it didn't match up to the result. And don't forget, I just hit me again. The exit polls. The exit polls. They do exit polls. When people coming out of the voting area, they ask, hey, who'd you vote for? Don't tell anybody, but I voted for so. So the exit polls are pretty accurate within a certain degree, right? So without being able to go to a poll, there's no exit polls. Maybe that's the ticket. Maybe they're trying to prevent the exit polls and the able to check out the votes. People, they don't want you to know how they're doing. That's so shady. I just thought of that. Exit polls. And referring to the people that actually were working at the individual polling places. It's deep, I tell you. The more I think about it, probably the more areas of corruption that I can figure out. But what do you think? I say we go vote, and we tell the exit poll guys how we voted. So that way they have a true idea of how your individual person is doing. Thanks for watching Paul's Take. For more of my take on things, make sure you hit like and subscribe.